Hello. It's a record-breaking day today here on the Shadow of Hakuho as we go through Yusho 32 through 34. Sothro!
Throw the salt, get in the ring. Welcome to the Dohyo.
Hello and welcome back to the Dohyo here on Mr. J-Wag's channel. Today is a very exciting episode where we are diving back into the Shadow of Hakuho, an alternate timeline where Hakuho never existed. So we go through each one of his Yusho and give that Yusho to the deserving Rikishi. I'm sure you will pick it up as you go, but if you want to start at the beginning, we now, thanks to the urging of viewer at Reset Shift, we now have a very specific Shadow of Hakuho playlist on the channel. So go, check that out. Start from the beginning. It's amazing. It's like Squid Game, but with way less squid. Okay, like a little bit of squid. All right, charter yourself a 50-foot skiff. Get 8 of your buddies and your dry suits together because it's time to dive into the Shadow of Hakuho. Here we go, Yusho number 32. November 2014, Hakuho wins with a 14-1 record. Second place, Jun Yusho goes to Yokozuna Kakuryu at 12-3. One win below, Yokozuna Haramafuji, Ozeki Kisenosato, and Maegashira 8 Tochinoshin at 11-4. One win below at 10-5, Maegashira 3 Takayasu, Maegashira 8 Endo, and Maegashira 11 Kyoku Tenho. I give this one to Kakuryu in a strong case. Okay, I know I say I love to open with the locks, but here we go, a strong case. Now, before we get too far into it, I just want to give a shout out to Kyoku Tenho, who I believe made his last appearance on the Shadow of Hakuho 7 years ago in the alternate timeline, so let us hear it for longevitous Mongolian wrestlers. Now, this one's pretty straightforward. Kakuryu had the Jun Yusho. He, of course, was a Yokozuna, definitely a worthy opponent. He was in the tournament all the way up until the last day. If he'd managed to beat Hakuho on day 15, he would have been eligible for a playoff, so he had that going for him. And you'll see it in Kakuryu's losses. He lost to Hakuho, Haramafuji, and Kisenosato. So basically Hakuho and the 2 other guys who were basically in the running other than Tochinoshin. Now Tochinoshin is not a pushover, but I'm not going to have him sort of in the running for this one because he only faced one Sanyaku member, Ichinojo, and did not win. Now when it comes to the 3 of them, Kisenosato, Haramafuji, and Kakuryu, Haramafuji ended up beating the other 2, but ended up losing to Hakuho, then Sekiwake Aoiyama, and then 2 Maegashira. Of course, those Maegashira were Takayasu, who was the only person to beat Hakuho in this tournament, and Tochiozan. Tochiozan, of course, I have winning a tournament at Sekiwake earlier in the Shadow of Hakuho. So no pushovers here. So yes, Kakuryu, I'd love to give you the lock, but the very, very close presence of Kisenosato and Haramafuji, not to mention a Priozeki Tochinoshin just right there at the end, is enough to give me enough doubt to give you a strong case. Quick sidebar. Now, I believe this very specific November 2014 tournament is what we could call the peak of Aoiyama's career. So, Aoiyama has only been in the Sanyaku once or twice in his entire career. This is the only time he had back-to-back Sanyaku rankings, and this was the only tournament where he got a Kachikoshi in the Sanyaku. He got an 8-7, ended up beating Haramafuji and Kisenosato in this tournament, before starting to slide down into the lovable mid-Maegashira we come to know today. So, but yeah, any of you who are recently coming to Sumo, Aoiyama used to be pretty baller. Quick sidebar. Ooh, this one's a spicy one. Yusho number 33! January 2015, Hakuho wins with a 15-0 Zensho Yusho. Second place, Jun Yusho goes to Yokozuna Haramafuji, Ozeki Kisenosato, and Maegashira 16 Tokushoryu at 11-4. One win below at 10-5 come Yokozuna Kakuryu, and Maegashira 9 Tamawashi. There were 6 wrestlers tied at 9-6, including Ozeki Kotashogiku. I give this basho a very rare free-for-all. Like I said, this one's a doozy. It's a very rare free-for-all. I could not come up with a convincing case for one single wrestler, so let me give these cases to you, the people, and hit me up in the comments. Who do you think wins this Yusho? Alright, so unlike in the last tournament where Harumafuji beat all the other contenders except for Hakuho, this one has sort of a round-robin feel where one guy beat the other guy, but then that guy beat a third guy, and that third guy beat the other guy, so there's no real, definitive head-to-head sort of ranking. Like, Harumafuji beat Kisano Sato, who beat Kakaryu, who ended up coming back and beating Harumafuji. You get the idea. Now, I have to set up the context for this basho. Now, were Hakuho to win, spoiler alert, he did. Remember, it's his 33rd. This is the one that broke Taiho's record and put Hakuho into number 1 on the list. So, first of all, Hakuho did it with a Zensho Yusho. Baller. No one else even had 12 wins. Everyone else had 11 and 4, which means Hakuho clinched this thing on day 13. So he clinched it 2 whole days early. Double baller. But that tells me all of the attention, all the context, and all the pressure was going basically up the Banzake, and everything about this tournament was revolving around Hakuho. Now, in the absence of Hakuho, this tournament would be no more special than probably any other tournament, so there wouldn't be this much pressure on anyone to perhaps get this particular Yusho. I have no way of controlling in the stats for this sort of additional outside exogenous pressure. And not only that, we're not just talking about Yokozuna and future Yokozuna who are in the mix here. Look who's down there at the bottom of the Banzake. It's Tokushoryu. Oh, Tokushoryu could never possibly win a Yusho from the bottom of the Banzake, except he did. Oh, well, Tokushoryu Lightning would never strike twice. We just talked about Kyoku Tenho. He would have won a Shadow Yusho, or he would have been up for another free-for-alls we were talking about, 7 years ago at this point, so 2007, 7 years ago in the Shadow world. And then Kyoku Tenho ended up winning a real Yusho 5 years later. Oh, what? What is this, 2015? Oh, I wonder who won the Yusho exactly 5 years after this date. So no, I don't think Tokushoryu would have won, but if anyone could, he's the one who did it. So yeah, there's the basho. Who do you think pulls this one out? And another quick sidebar. Okay, so this tournament, like I said before, a lot of the pressure was pushed up the Banzake to a lot of people because it was Hakuho's tournament. Then could anyone beat Hakuho? No. But I think this pressure led to possibly the worst collective performance of the lower Sanyaku and Joy-Jin, the meat grinder Maegashira, that I have ever seen. From Sekiwake to Maegashira 5, 1 Kachikoshi, and it was just an 8 and 7 for then Maegashira 2, Terunofuji. So if you think this is going to lead to a big turnover for the next tournament, you'd be right in Yusho number 34. March 2015, Hakuho wins with a 14-1 record. Second place, Jun Yusho goes to Sekiwake Terunofuji with a 13-2 record. Next down at 11-5 are Maegashira 11 Osunarashi, Maegashira 12 Chia Otori, and Maegashira 15 Gagamaru. I give this one to Terunofuji in a lock. Alright, so for those of you who've been waiting, when's Terunofuji gonna show up? It's today. Yes, young Terunofuji with largely working knees. What a wonderful concept. Yep, this one was really straightforward. There was Hakuho, and then there was Terunofuji, and then there was no one, and then there were 3 Maegashira who didn't really face Eri Sanyaku, and then down at 10 was Harumafuji, so I don't think anyone else is really going to be in the fight for this one except Terunofuji. So while this particular basho outcome isn't that interesting, a lot of interesting things happened in this basho. Because I just mentioned, we had one of the world's worst Sanyaku and Joy-Jin performances ever. So a whole bunch of people got promoted up in this tournament. Like I said, Terunofuji, being the only Kachikoshi in the top 5 Maegashira ranks, leapt up from Maegashira 2 to Sekiwake, just straight up there. And then the rest of the Sanyaku was filled out with Maegashiras 6, 8, and 9. So you tell me if you've ever seen a larger collective Maegashira to Sanyaku promotion all at once. I don't think so. So and this was not only Terunofuji's Sekiwake debut, it was the very first time he ever beat Hakuho, for the first of the 4 in his career. Now, a fascinating thing about Terunofuji is that he only spent 6 tournaments his entire career in the lower Sanyaku. 1 tournament at Komusubi, where he got a Jun Yusho and a special prize. 5 tournaments at Sekiwake, and here's what he did at Sekiwake. 2 Yusho, 2 Jun Yusho, 5 special prizes, and then that 1 extra tournament was when he was dropping down from Ozeki. He had that 1 tournament at Sekiwake that he was hurt for, so he didn't get any wins. But if you just look at that Sekiwake record, 2 Jun Yusho, 2 Yusho, and 5 special prizes, that's a pretty good career for some Rikishi. Now, as I said, in the real world, this was Terunofuji's Sekiwake debut. Now, he only had just gotten an 8 and 7, so you'd expect him, he might not do too well up there in the Sanyaku for the first time. Wrong. He got the 13 and 2. He did really well. Now, in the next basho, Terunofuji ended up winning the Yusho for real, so that would have given him 2 consecutive Yusho back-to-back. But since both of them would have been at Sekiwake, I do not think they would have broken the rules and promoted a Sekiwake directly to Yokozuna. So, Hakuho's absence would not have accelerated Terunofuji's Yokozuna or Ozeki timeline at this point. Thank you for joining us here at Mr. J Wag's channel. We are wrapping up the Shadow of Hakuho. I think we have 3 more basho-based episodes, and then I've got like 2 or 3 episodes that I'm just going to do, sort of explaining the project and how I came to various conclusions that I'm sure all of you are going to find fascinating. We have an amazing year planned here at the Dohyo, so we hope you join us. Everyone stay strong, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time on the Dohyo.